It is Chicago's birthday. It is CHGO's birthday. Spencer Knight is awesome, and Petey is standing by. Let's get right to it on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Sarah's here running the show. Our pal Petey is standing by for some goaltender and Spencer Knight talk. But happy birthday, Chicago. Happy third birthday, CHGO. It's an exciting day here. We're all decorated. The CHGO mobile truck has been driving all over the city, giving out donuts and having Greg Braggs assault people against their wills. That's fine. To make up for that, we've got a great sale, our biggest sale ever going on today. Only $34 for the annual pass to become a CHGO diehard. Take advantage of it. It ends tonight. $34, and yes, you still get the free shirt. You still get all the perks that come with the full price membership. So if you've been waiting for the perfect opportunity, $34 for the year to represent sweetness, my friends. Jump on that. The QR code is on your screen, or go to allchgo.com and join us as a diehard. We'd love to have you. With that, let's get right to the man of the hour, our guest of honor. There he is, Petey with a CHGO hat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm not a diehard, but I do have my CHGO hat just in case I need it. And throw a happy birthday to everybody at CHGO. Big day.
It is a big day. A lot of people thought we wouldn't get this far, and we are just continuing upward. So we're very happy to be here, and very happy to have you. I'm telling you, you would not believe the last 18 hours or so. Spencer Knight mania is sweeping Chicago unlike anything I've ever seen.
We're already making him captain, and yeah, it's great stuff.
And we shared the video you sent yesterday on social media. We're probably going to get to it again during today's show, but I just want to paint the picture for you, Petey. Even before he stopped 41 of 42 LA shots, he was announced as a starter. As loud of a crowd pop as we've heard at the United Center all year for a player being announced.
Yeah.
People are really excited about this. Hawks fans are really plugged into it, and he put on a freaking show for the United Center.
Yeah, the kid can play. And the one thing about Spencer Knight, he's 23. And you think he's been in the league forever, and oh my God, he's 27. No, he's 23. Turns 24 in a month. And he highly touted when he came into this league. You know, you put him up there with the Ottingers of this league. He just didn't have an opportunity. He just hasn't played enough. You know, he entered into the player assistance program, and he got that taken care of, and he came out better and stronger. And all he does in Florida is win. Now, granted, they've got a really good defense, and they have a tight system and play really well in front of him. But this kid can play. And I think all he needed is to get more ice time, and it just wasn't going to be there for him in Florida. The mantle has been passed in Chicago. He's going to get a lot of games here down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that everyone recognized right away, and I think that's what played into the excitement for him, is that it was just like he steps in and is immediately like, I don't want to say we've anointed him the starter.
Right.
He's immediately the best of the four guys that you have on NHL contracts, because we haven't seen Brossoit at all.
Right.
He's been better than Peter Mrazek has been this year, and has better prospects for it. And as good as Arvid Soderblom has been, there's more promise in what we know of Spencer Knight and what he's been able to show at the professional level, both AHL and NHL levels. So as much as we've been impressed with Arvid Soderblom's resurgence from last year to this year, it's still Spencer Knight. You take him 10 times out of 10 over Arvid Soderblom. So I think that played into the excitement. And then he goes out and faces the most shots he's faced all year and makes the most saves he's faced all year. And the crowd is into it. It was just an instant, like he's become a fan favorite instantly, and he represents that like number one goalie for the rebuild for the future that we haven't seen at the NHL level yet. It was
Yeah,
Drew
and
Comezzo, and now it's
it's funny,
Spencer Knight.
it might be Drew Commesso still. I mean, you've got him and Soderblom. You got 3 guys under 24. And you look at when Spencer Knight did, you talk about the 42 saves. 5 of his last 6 starts in Florida, he faces under 30, 2 of them under 25. Doesn't face a lot of rubber there. But when he does face a lot of shots, he is very successful. He had 5 games all season in Florida with over 30 shots on goal, 105. He was 5-0. Now he's 6-0 in all games over 30 shots on goal. So he likes to get more work. And you see how athletic he is, how quick he is, how competitive he is, all of those things you need in a goaltender. There are some things he's got to clean up. He's 23. And I think you'll get some of that with more practice time and coaching time. Now he's got Jimmy Waite shut the gate, helping him out. I think that will help him. And I think playing every day is going to help him. I can't believe I'm saying this. The future in the Nets for Chicago right now is as bright as it's been in a long time. And I give part of that to Soderblom and Commesso. Sorry, Peter. You might be the odd guy.
Well, let's since you mentioned him, we're a few days from the deadline. All of a sudden, the Hawks have their goalie of the future. Now they've got 4 NHL goalies under contract. Soderblom is an RFA, but they got to bring him back. He's been so good this year. Is there any market for Peter Mrazek at all? Or do the Hawks just say, hey, if you want him, call us up, make us an offer, and he's yours? Can the Hawks just do that to a team and say, he's here, best offer gets him?
Yeah, and I think he's of the 4 goaltenders that are under contract. Clearly, he's the guy that's available. I mean, Peter Mrazek's he's been a good soldier in Chicago. He's been through the muck and the mire and the tough days. And unfortunately for him, he's the odd guy out when they're ready to start winning. But I think we all kind of thought that. Like, he was not going to be the last guy standing once they got through the rebuild. I think he's gone at the trade deadline. And I do think there's teams desperate enough and scared enough going into the playoffs that need help. And not with their big guy, Edmonton. Like, you look at Stuart Skinner and you go, okay, we know he's good because he had the playoff run last year, but he also struggled during the playoffs. Can we get him some support? And Peter Mrazek can go in and win the one-off. It's not a 23, 24-year-old guy that hasn't been in a situation where he's played under pressure before. And I think he will be attractive. Now, on Chicago's end, yeah, they'll give him away for anything. Like, anything. Like, if you get a 6th or 7th round pick, Mrazek's out the door. That's just what I think. I don't think he survives the trade deadline as a Blackhawk, and I think that removes one of the goaltenders from their bullpen.
You mentioned some of the things that Spencer Knight needs to work on. Before we get to that, why don't we share the video that PD sent in yesterday with a breakdown of what he does well, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the things he does need improvement on.
A quick look at Spencer Knight. He is calm and square to the shooter. You can see him here, calm and square to the shooter, so he's able to make these saves because he doesn't look like he's ever panicked. One thing he is absolutely elite at is watching the puck go from side to side. He has got an incredibly strong push. So when you see a pass from side to side go across the Royal Road, he's got an unbelievable ability to get across the net. You can see it here. It's a wide open net, but he's got a great push. He's able to get across, and he's able to make that save. You're going to see it again, pass side to side. Looks like there's all kinds of room, but he's able to get to that side, get out, outstretch, and make a save. You're going to see it this time against Draisaitl, low in the zone as this puck comes across. Draisaitl's got an empty net, but he's able to get across and make that save on Draisaitl. Here he is in tight against the Buffalo Sabres again, side to side. He's got that really strong push and his ability to get side to side. Here it is, empty net as the puck comes across the zone, but he's able to get all the way across, get a glove on that one, and make an outstanding save. Here he is again with his athleticism. He's lined up to the shooter. He sees the shooter, and as the puck comes, he makes the save. But on the rebound, he's got the ability to get all the way across the zone using his athleticism to make the save on the shooter all the way across on the rebound. And you're going to see it again here, his athleticism. He stretches out as Eichel drives in front of the net for the Vegas Golden Knights. He's able to get his leg out and make the save with his pad. You're going to see it over and over again, how he's able to stretch that leg out and make great saves with his athleticism. Over and over again, he's able to stretch that pad out and make the save with his leg. He covers the lower third of the net extremely well, which means you're going to have to get the puck on him if you want to score. Like McDavid does here, you got to get up and over the glove if you want to put it by Spencer Knight. Again, on the other side, if you want it, you got to get it up and over that pad because he's so athletic. One other thing to look for is how low he carries his glove above the pad, so he's able to make saves that are just over the pad with his glove. That means if you want to score on him on the glove side, you're going to have to get that puck up and over his glove. One other thing to keep an eye on is he gets in the RVH just a little too often. So look for him trying to keep out that puck over that top corner, and hopefully he doesn't give any pucks over that right shoulder for the Chicago Blackhawks. Quick look at Spencer Knight.
Great stuff from Petey there. And again, that was sent before last night's game, and exactly what we saw.
Oh, yeah.
The entire night. The tracking, the lateral movement, the explosion with the leg. Yeah. Fantastic. Here's a term we've been hearing a lot lately. Darren Pang talks about a lot. The RVH, the reverse VH. Can you explain that to the novice hockey fan in 3.5 minutes or less?
I can, and it stands. RVH stands for reverse vertical horizontal, and vertical horizontal stands for the direction the pads are facing. Reverse, it started back in Quebec, where a goaltender put his pad straight up and down along the post, and his inside post would be flat on the ground. Vertical, horizontal, VH. Well, then they decided it's better to have the inside, the pad side closest to the post down, and the pad up on the middle of the ice. It felt you could protect passes that came to front of the net better. So it's opposite of the VH. So it is the reverse VH. My problem with the reverse VH, and you're going to hear it a lot if you've ever followed me on Twitter or seen me on any show on the ALLCITY network, I can't stand it. It's overused. It is very effective when it is used at the right time, and that's when a play is in tight, it's low, and there's a rebound in front of the net. When the puck gets out closer to the boards, that goaltender has got to stand up. I'm sorry. I'll argue with goalie coaches all day long. If I see a 6'5" goaltender get scored on over his shoulder, I lose my mind. And I do think a lot of these goalies that are overcoached in Canada and the US, in North America, you see go down in this position too often. And Spencer Knight is one of those guys. He is quick enough and athletic enough that he can make that save. But it's one thing I'd like to see him get out of that habit of when the puck is here, I go down automatically. I'd like to see him stand up and use it in situations where he needs it only.
Well, you mentioned Jimmy Waite, so before we're going to get to the things Knight needs to work on in the second half, but Jimmy Waite's got a great reputation around the league. He's always done a pretty good job, not only reclaiming, but improving goalies throughout his career. What can you tell us about, what do you know about Jimmy Waite, and what makes him such an effective goaltending coach?
It's funny because Jimmy Waite actually played here in Arizona for a while, and he was the goaltender behind Nicky Habibulin. He's a competitor. He's a very technically sound goalie, and I think that's what makes him a good goalie coach, because he's technically sound. Wasn't an extremely big guy, so he had to be quick and athletic. A lot of the things you look for from Spencer Knight. But the other thing he does very well is he doesn't try to change a goaltender into a cookie cutter goalie. He tries to take that goalie's strengths and make them better. And he recognizes that now that they're in their 20s, they're not changing. They're not going to be a different goalie. It's just take what they have and make what they have better. I think this is going to be a good experience to be one-on-one. And sometimes what happens when you're the backup, you don't get all the attention you need. And not saying he's been anointed as the starter yet ahead of Soderblom, but he is going to get that time with Jimmy Waite. So I think this next 2 months is going to be critical for him and his confidence. And I think Jimmy Waite can really help him on that side of the game too, the mental preparation of being an everyday player in the league. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how Spencer Knight develops over the next 60 days.
Well, I think it's been interesting is that, he comes in and it's like, I had just said it, earlier, but it was just like, we're not, anointing him a starter or anything. But he steps in and is, from what he said, kind of given the option to start right away. Is that kind of when you get into a goalie, a goalie room where you have now 3 guys that all can lay claim to being NHL players, and the new guy comes in and is given the option to start on his basically first day at the job. Does that kind of send a message of maybe where the organization sees, or what they see in Spencer Knight, or what they are going to put on his plate as soon as he gets here?
I don't think anybody was surprised by that start. I think if you're Peter Mrazek or Soderblom, you go, okay, we just traded our top defenseman away. This is a big piece of the future. I don't think they were surprised at the start. Frustrated? Sure. I mean, Soderblom has to feel he's played well enough this season to earn time in the net, but I don't think anybody was surprised by it. What I think is going to be interesting now is over the next 22, 23 games is who's going to get the net the most often. And I think it's going to be Spencer Knight. I think you're going to see Spencer Knight and Soderblom take the ball for most of the season. If Mrazek does not get traded, he will get the odd start. I think they will, again, for being such a good shoulder. They might have to carry 3 goalies for a while. I don't know what you do with Mrazek if you get him through the trade deadline. But I do think there's going to be some frustration. And if they can give Soderblom 1 every 3 or 1 every 4, I think he'll be okay. But he's definitely not going to be the guy that's getting the start right away. It's Spencer Knight. You saw the building. You saw the locker room. They got pummeled by LA. No offense to the Chicago Blackhawks, but they got outshot. They got if they don't have above average goaltending, elite goaltending, they lose that hockey game. And one thing that happens in a room is you get a little bit of belief, and that goes a long way. Wins don't matter right now to Chicago, but you get that belief and have that fun and get that energy. Man, it's contagious. And right now it's following the Spencer Knight train. So I would expect that to be the way the Chicago Blackhawks go for a while.
All right, that is Steve Peters. More to come. Make sure you're following him on Twitter at @SPetersHockey. He is the NHL telestration producer for ESPN, and he's got Inside the Coaches Room. More on that later in the show. We got to hit the break zone. Do us a favor. It's our 3rd birthday. Hit that like button for us. Got a lot of people watching, not a lot of people liking. Let's change that up. Well, no, keep watching, but start liking. Yeah, hit that like button. Back in a moment with more with Petey.
And it is crystal clear the future of the Blackhawks goaltending situation. You can see it crystal clear, just like when you look through your Right-On Optics binoculars. Right-On Optics is the best in all of binoculars, the clearest views of anything that you need to see, whether it's just a little bit away or really far away, like Blackhawks Stanley Cup contention. You can see it with Right-On Optics, no matter what activities you prefer outdoors. It's always important to have the best view, whether you're asked to watch your kids' sporting events from the parking lot, or you are like Jay and you're middle-aged and you've taken up bird watching.
Correct.
You're always going to need a good pair of Right-On binoculars, and especially if you're going to Soldier Field, whether it's down on the lakefront or in Arlington Heights, rather. Or if you're at the UC up in the nosebleeds with your Right-On binoculars, you can get the view like you're right on the glass or right at the 50-yard line. And what's great with Right-On is that they promise their unlimited lifetime warranty, which not only covers defects, but also accidental damage from drops. So if you're up in the tree looking at birds and you drop your Right-On binoculars, they will have you covered for any damage. So check out the full line of Right-On Optics today at rightonoptics.com/CHGO. Again, that's Right-On Optics, RITON, optics.com/CHGO.
And when you're up there in that tree waiting for the birds to come, why not crack open a nice cold Sam Adams American Light? Light beer just got better. It is clean. It is crisp. It is super easy to drink. No gimmicks. No fluff. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local, independent farmers. Light beer that's made right. Light beer should not feel like a compromise, and with Sam Adams American, it does not. It's an American classic, so smooth you want to crack open another one. It's always Sam season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly. And now it is time for What's Brewing, presented by Sam Adams American Light. We are a mere, 3 days away from the NHL trade deadline. The big piece is gone for the Blackhawks, but there's been a lot of smoke today around Ryan Donato. There are pieces moving to other teams.
Yeah.
Guys are resigning with their other teams, so that center market is shrinking, which is raising the demand for Ryan Donato.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes. Trade deadline Friday at 2. Mario and I will be here from 1 to 3, making sure we've got everything covered from start to finish. And, of course, we'll be standing by for any breaking news that comes on before the show. So don't miss that. That is What's Brewing, presented by our friends at Sam Adams American Light. All right, Petey, you said there's some things that Spencer Knight needs to work on. What are those things, and how can he do so?
Well, one of the things that's going to be just by matter of playing is this consistency. And that's not that he doesn't have a lack of consistency. We don't know what his consistency is because he hasn't had the opportunity to get consecutive starts day after day and be that everyday guy. So I think that's going to be learning on the fly how to manage your body, how to get your sleep, how to eat right, how to practice right so that you can play every second day. And if you look at the schedule right now for Chicago, it sets up really nice for Spencer Knight to finish off every game on this homestand. One of the things technically that I don't like, and I think you saw it in the Kopitar goal, and you saw it on the video, and if you saw the longer video that Mario tweeted out from the beat, when someone is coming in tight, he has those strong legs. So what he does, he gets a really low base with those strong legs. So he has the ability to shoot those legs out either side. That's his strength. That's his greatest skill, is his athleticism. But when doing that, he gets a really low base. You'll see he looks, we call it getting small. He gets small. He makes himself really small. His shoulders lean over. His glove gets down tight, and he looks small in the net. And when you saw Kopitar put it just over the glove, that's an area of concern for Spencer Knight. He gives that spot up over the glove because it's so low to the pad, and his pads are so low to the ice. So he's going to have to learn, when players get in tighter, to make himself look big. He's going to have to get his shoulders back up and present his chest more than leaning over and curling those shoulders. Again, it's something through repetition that he should be able to get his body more upright, because he's going to have to protect the top of the net. You see how elite he is. And I'm not talking just one of the best backups. He's one of the best goalies in the league in the lower third of the net. Like, you saw it. That's exactly what you expect of him. That's going to last if he's playing every 4 or 5 games. Well, guys around the league are going to go, God, if we're playing Spencer Knight, we got to get it up. You've got to get up. So you're going to see those shots coming high. So it's something he's going to have to establish in his game, his ability to cover that top corners of the net as well.
Well, it seems like the athleticism is there too, where, and you pointed out in the video how he keeps the glove low, so it's always ready to kind of meet those shots as they arise. Seems like he's got the speed and athleticism at this age to keep up with those sort of things. But as a goalie gets, I don't want to say old, but into their later 20s, early 30s, when some of that athleticism slows down, how can they kind of compensate for that in terms of protecting the top of the net?
It's funny. We in Arizona, we went through that a lot. We got older goalies that needed to change their style. Sean Burke got older. You just saw at the end of his career, you saw Mike Smith as he got older. What you do is you got to play deeper in your net. You got to get closer to goal line, and it buys you just that split second of time that you can react and use your athleticism still. I think you'll adapt your game. Spencer Knight's still really aggressive. He still gets out to the top of the blue paint. He's only 6'3", and I know only 6'3" in this league. It used to be a giant, but now 6'3" is pretty average in the NHL. He's very aggressive on his feet. He gets out very deep in the blue paint. And one thing about him, he is never out of a play. He moves so well, and he is so strong at getting from post to post and side to side. He is never out of a play, whether that's a rebound, a second shot, or a pass made across the crease. But I do think as he ages, I think you'll see him start to come back more. But his athleticism is elite. And I'm excited to see what he can do in Chicago, because it's fun. You saw how much fun the guys had last night, and fun it was in the building. They're not making the playoffs, and it's a bad year. It's over, and you're thinking draft picks. But this is something you grab onto for the next 20 games. Hey, let's go to the United Center and watch Spencer Knight. Hey, the Blackhawks are playing. Let's watch Spencer Knight. And it's not always Bedard. And somehow this might take a little bit of focus off Connor Bedard and give him a little bit more breathing room when it comes to the press, the media, and the attention. That who knows what he's going to do for the last 20 games as well.
Well, yeah, yesterday morning. After morning skate, you almost never talk to the starting goalie, but because it was Spencer Knight, there was about 30 people surrounding the his goalie stall, and spent probably 6-7 minutes talking with him, with the entire Chicago media, and then eventually Connor sat down and was just like, minute and a half with Bedard, and that was it.
Old news.
All we needed. All we needed. Just So yeah, I mean, to that point, like I definitely feel like it's definitely part of that, like the growth of like the rest of the guys that are going to be here alongside Bedard can start, taking up more of what he's had on his plate as far as attention, and he's still going to garner a lot of attention on the ice, but when you have guys coming up with him, that can open up things, and I think with Knight, it's new, it's exciting, and like you've been saying, P, like being in the building last night, just kind of seeing the reaction from the trade over the last 2.5 days, it's been overwhelmingly positive for the Blackhawks, and I really feel like we haven't seen that to this degree as far as like a swing in the mood or the vibes or anything like that since basically Connor Bedard was drafted. Like it's had that steep of a turnaround going back in the right direction as far as like the positivity and the excitement in the fan base. So having Knight here has been awesome so far. His game was incredible. And I wonder too, so the question I wanted to ask was, if he gets here and he's got the opportunity to play 2 or 3 games in a row that he hasn't with Florida, he is young, but do you worry about like, okay, he's coming in, new team, probably living in a hotel right now, getting all this time? Can that burn out a player at the end of the season or be a little bit too much? Like, do you have to manage for a new goalie, like how to handle that coming into a new team?
The quick answer is no. Like, right now, he's a 23-year-old guy. He's physically fit. He's ready to play. I wouldn't play him in back-to-backs. And nice, the next 2 games at United Center, you got 2 days between a day off between each game. So I think it's Spencer Knight against Ottawa and again in Utah. And then on the road trip, you're getting a back-to-back. So Soderblom is going to get that start for sure off of the back-to-back. But I think you got to find out what you got. And when you're going into this season right now with under 20 games to go, you got to know what you have going into next season. Can Spencer Knight carry that workload? And the only way to find out is to give it to him. Now, I don't mean overplay him and play him 7 out of 8, 8 out of 9, so he gets hurt. But I mean, he's getting 1 out of every 3 and 1 out of every 4 starts, because you got to know, can he handle that workload now so we can prepare for next season? So I think you're going to see a lot of games with him in with 20 games to go. He's got to play 13 of them, 14 that he's got to be in the net for. And I think you got to see what you got. And I think, especially at home, when you need that little boost and you need that little loud cheer in the United Center, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes most of the starts back at home for the remainder of the year.
One thing I noticed about his game last night was his willingness to leave the net and carry the puck and stick handle. Eddie Belfour used to do it. I used to get palpitations as a young man. I don't know if my heart can handle Spencer Knight at the advanced age I'm at now. My God, he was phenomenal with the puck and clearly enjoys playing that part of the game.
I think it's funny because if he does like Eddie Belfour, no offense to Eddie, with top 5 wins all time in the league, a little scary when he went out to play the puck. It was just a reality of his game. Outstanding goaltender, love Eddie Belfour. But when you look at Spencer Knight, he's got a lot of confidence with the puck. And I think yesterday, he played a little bit more and went out more than he normally does in a game because of the excitement and the energy and the vibe in the building. And he was buzzing with confidence. So I think that helped get him into the game by going out and getting pucks that I don't think he normally would go get. Having said that, he's a very good puck handler. He is going to help. And that's one thing in today's game that's really changed in the NHL. You went 10 to 15 years ago, right after Marty Turco, where it was guys could really play the puck. Mike Smith, I still think, is the best puck handling goaltender in the history of the game, where he became a second defenseman. I don't think there's a goalie in the league that really is that anymore. You need a goalie that can make really good passes and really smart plays. And I think that's what Spencer Knight does. He's quick enough to get to the puck, but he makes the smart play. He's not trying to make the home run. He's not trying to put it all the way down to the opposing blue line. He's making the smart play to his defenseman. And you saw that several times last night. He just started the breakout with a nice, simple play. And I think that's what Chicago needs from their goaltender. They don't need the home run setting out to the red line. They need the first breakout pass being on the tape so they can get out of the zone. I think he is going to help the Blackhawks get out of the zone. And I think that's going to be important for this Blackhawk team as they grow and get through the rebuild. I think that's going to be a part of what they become and start to play a little bit faster, which is something I think they've wanted to do since they got Connor Bedard. And I do think Spencer Knight will help with that.
He did shoot on the empty net last night. And if he had scored, the United Center would have exploded.
Again, he's got the ability to do that, and I think when you got a 2-goal lead, go for it. Send it up. Yeah, for sure. Exciting. I don't think I don't see the downside for Chicago. You got rid of a player that was inside the locker room, and no offense to Seth Jones, but you don't want to work with somebody that's pouting and complaining every day. It's no fun. It makes it miserable in the locker room. And I think Chicago got addition from subtraction and got rid of a guy that just didn't want to be there. And right now, if I'm management in Chicago Blackhawks, if you don't want to be here, go. Here's the door. We're building something. We're fast. We're young. We're exciting. It's coming. You want to be here when it does come because it's going to be a lot of fun. And this city being a winning team is a big deal. Who wants to come on board? If you don't, go. Call your agent, tell him you want out, and we'll find a deal and get you out of here. That's the message has to be from that room right now. Because if you don't want to be there, it's just going to bring the players that want to, and you need to develop Bedard, and you don't want him in a negative atmosphere. You don't want him pouting and sad and not going to the rink every day with a smile on his face. And I think this just little boost over the last 24 hours has given him something to be happy about. And we've talked about on here many times. Everything's about Connor Bedard right now. Make him happy, and who knows what can happen in Chicago.
All right, PD, we got to let you go. Let people know where to find your work these days and promote it. And we are committed to having you on more often. 100%.
Can't wait. We love being on here.
I
love being on this show. I missed you guys. It's been way too long. Follow me on Twitter at @SPetersHockey. Jump over to YouTube and go inside the coaches room. A little different perspective on things from somebody that's actually been inside the coaches room. So thanks for having me on, guys. Anytime, reach out. I'll be right there.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Petey.
Take care, Petey. That is Steve Peters, our pal. He just makes everybody smarter every time he speaks.
Yeah.
The opposite of me. All right.
So we balance it out.
It balances out. So you leave this show breaking even in intelligence, which is what we're hoping for. Do us a favor before we hit the break zone, hit the like button, and we'll be back really quick. Let's talk about the deadline and some interesting comments from Pat Maroon today about his former teammate, Seth Jones, coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
Hey, quick little science lesson for everyone out there. Cells in our body are the building blocks of life. Jay, quick, what's the powerhouse of the cell? That's right, it's the mitochondria.
Chlorophyll.
And our friends at Timeline is in the game of making sure our cells are better to make our lives better. Timeline is a supplement that works with those cells to help give you more energy, feel stronger during workouts, and preserve health and mobility as you start to age, which we are all doing. No matter what age you're at, you are aging and getting older every day.
Confirmed.
The clock continues to tick on you, so you need... So that's why it's so urgent. You need Timeline, right?
Yes.
To slow that clock down as much as possible. The patented ingredient in Timeline is MitoPure, a post-bioptic nutrient that clears out dysfunctional mitochondria. This is, again, a lot of science. Basically, it's going to make your body recover faster. You're going to feel more energized. All that cellular data, not your phone,
the 5G,
but the stuff that's in your body naturally,
it's
going to be boosted, and you're going to feel a lot better. With regular use, you'll see and feel the difference in the form of improved energy, better workouts, faster recovery, more endurance, and much, much more. MitoPure is the only supplement clinically proven to rejuvenate health at the cellular level, so get ready to be your best, most energized, and most revitalized you. Right now, Timeline is giving you 10% off of your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/CHGO today to get started. Again, that's timeline.com/CHGO. And get your cells right.
All right. Will do. Thank you, Corey, for getting my chlorophyll reference. Kevin Fiala, it's on my crap list because he was the final piece to my prize picks yesterday.
Yeah.
All I needed was more than half a point from Kevin Fiala, and he failed. So I am a loser.
Boo.
Confirmed. But if you don't know what Prize Picks is, it is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states. I know you've been thinking about that, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The app is super easy to use. You just create a lineup. All you have to do is pick more than or less than on a few player stats for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. So last night, I had Spencer Knight over, I think it was 27.5 saves. That was an easy one.
That was easy.
That was like second period. I had half a point more, Ryan Donato, and I needed half a point more than for Kevin Fiala, who seems to always destroy the Blackhawks. He did not yesterday.
No, he got
therefore, I am a Lahu Zahur. But Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. I should check in on that. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, eventually, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes, and Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly When you play $5, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Guess what day it is, gang? It's Tuesday. It's Fat Tuesday, or as I call it, Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts select players' projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Prize Picks is awesome. Sign up for it. Download the app. Use the code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, get the app. Use code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Mm-hmm.
We got some super chats, do we not? All right. Thomas, it's the same people always, and we love you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thomas, $2, says, is putting Mrazek on waivers an option? Yes. It's an option. I just don't. It doesn't seem very Kyle Davidson-y.
It also doesn't. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a team to just take his money for nothing.
Well, then you send him to Rockford would be the idea.
Yeah, he would one, then yeah.
I think that would cause more problems than it would solve.
Yeah, I think so. So it's an option. I don't think it's one they're going to use.
Yeah. And Steven, $10, says, does PD have any take on Spencer having friends already on the Hawks? Well, he's gone. But I'm going to speak for PD. I'm going to summon him telepathically. PD says, yes, it's a good thing that there are guys on the team that he knows already, and it will help him with his comfort zone. Landon Slaggert, Team USA teammate in 2021, and Frank Nazar, Team USA player. He knows people.
Alex Vlasic as well.
Vlasic too?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. He was with Vlasic and Slager in the National Development Program for Team USA, and then played against Alex Vlasic in college because Spencer Knight went to Boston College and Vlasic, obviously Boston University. So yeah, he's got some guys that he knows, and you know, I feel like hockey has a tight circle of, you know, guys that you get to know, even if they're on other teams.
Yeah.
You know, if you have different connections, like played with them in junior or played against them, or, you know, summer training programs, you know, you cross paths with guys. We saw, what was it, before Bedard's rookie year, he was at the BioSteel camp, which all, you know, McDavid was there and all that stuff. So it's just like, there's different things like that where, you know, guys see each other even though you're not in the same team or anything like that. Like it's, you know, it's a tighter knit group than I think we really, you know, take for to understand.
It is a tight community of. There's only so much ice in the country, you know.
Yes,
and they got to share. I mean, if you go to Fifth Third during the summer, like before training camp starts,
you're
basically watching an all-star game.
You're likely to see some NHL players hanging around a little bit.
Like every year, McCabe, Kane is still there. JT Compher is there often.
Yep.
I think Anders Lee's been there before.
Hinostroza.
Yeah, it's just a cavalcade of uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
And Artem Anisimov is there sometimes in his weird
he
European
was,
uniform.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
All right, well, you
checking the old social meds.
Anything new?
No, not since the little movements that have gone on around the league this morning with I believe it was Trent Frederick.
Yep.
Was a big deal going to from Boston to
Edmonton.
The Oilers.
Yep.
And then also Jake Evans getting an extension, so basically getting taken off of the trade market. He got an extension, 4 years, $2.85 million per year, I believe, with the Montreal Canadiens. Trent Frederick and Jake Evans, two guys very much in the same mold as Ryan Donato.
100%.
Now, those guys have been, you know, they've had their trade deadline movement, whether it's from team to team or staying put. So now I think those moves today, and you got some other things going on. Tampa Bay putting Cam Atkinson and someone else, I forget off the top of my head. They put two guys on waivers. One of them was Cam Atkinson. There's things happening that I think could line up with either by the end of the day, or you know, maybe Ryan Donato doesn't participate in morning skate tomorrow. Like it really feels like we are at a moment's notice with Ryan Donato potentially being being moved.
Yeah, it's starting to feel that way. I wouldn't say there's anything completely percolating like right now, but it could happen, like you said, at any moment here. And with those deals, Frederick and I already blanked on
Jake Evans.
Jake Evans.
Yeah.
I want to say Jake Allen. It's not the goalie. Jake Evans signing. It's just bringing that value up for Donato. So I don't know if Davidson is saying like, well, maybe I wait till Friday and just see, and wait till the last minute and see what it takes. But I'm seeing that, I saw yesterday Frank Saravalli had Brock Nelson as his top available player. Like, at this point, I'd rather have Ryan Donato than Brock Nelson.
I mean,
I know that Nelson's done it longer.
Yeah,
but he's also old as balls.
I feel like Donato for a rental, you have more of a like logical path to being like, we could bring him in as a rental and then extend him if we wanted, if for an acquiring team where you're not really gonna do that with Brock Nelson. Like, he's older. Like, I would much rather have the guy who is playing really well and has expressed a career desire for some stability. But if you're getting him in a career year on a rental and then he makes a really good impact with your team, or has a long run, could endear himself to your organization more than a rental, then you give him the extension, because he is going to this is his opportunity to cash in on the open market with free agency, coming off of having a career year this year. So if that small chance in my mind that the Blackhawks resign him doesn't happen, this is an opportunity for him to go to a contender, have a potential deep playoff run where he seems like the perfect kind of guy that's going to score an overtime winner for some team in the playoffs.
Yes.
And like have that moment. And then, he could resign with the team that acquires him, or he goes to the market having a playoff run off of a career year and maybe gets, Jake Evans was 4 years, $2.85 million. Maybe Donato is 4 or 5 years at $4 million, 4.5. Like, I think that's something that he has the option on the table to explore this summer. And for a guy that hasn't made that money before, hasn't had that term on a contract before, that could be really enticing, especially with a young
100%.
family, and everything. Like, this is, I think for Donato, if I'm putting myself in his shoes, as much as I would love to have stability, from place to place, your lizard brain still goes, well, I want the money. I want that opportunity to get the most money possible.
Well, I mean, look at this, and you look at the return for Frederick, and I'm not going to pretend to know the in-depth, systems of the Devils and Oilers, but not a massive return at first glance for Trent Frederick. And maybe the Canadians were seeing, they had Jake Evans on the market, and maybe they were just not happy enough with the offers coming in and just said, F it, we're just going to sign him. And I do think that is a possibility with Donato. But again, I think that he's a different level than those guys. He's a better player than Jake Evans, better numbers than Jake Evans. And again, as these centers go off the board, either traded or signed, it just raises his value. So, like I said, I was told last week that Donato's as good as gone. Things can always change, but I don't know. I can't imagine he will ever have higher trade value than he does right now. But again, if we got an email or saw a tweet right now that said Ryan Donato re-signs in Chicago for 4 years, $16 million, great. Get the party poppers out. I would love it.
Are we going to do an emergency pod if he gets traded?
I mean, depends on when it happens.
Yeah, if I'm not in my car.
Because when Jones got traded, it was the lead up to a game.
True.
So we didn't really do an emergency podcast because we already had a pregame and a postgame that night going on.
Right.
But if Donato gets dealt tonight, we'll do an emergency pod.
100%.
For sure.
We will do that.
And the full trade with Trent Frederick was Max Jones and Trent Frederick going to the Oilers. The Bruins, it was a 3-team trade. The Bruins, for their troubles, get a 2025 second-round pick, a 2026 fourth-round pick. That's coming from Edmonton, defenseman Max Wayner. The 2025 second-round pick is St. Louis's second-round pick. Forgive me, I don't know which team that came from. the Oilers or the Devils. But the Devils also retain 50% on Trent Frederick in the deal. They also get the draft rights to Shane LaChance, who I believe was in Edmonton's system. Or no, Boston system?
Edmonton
system. Yeah. And he's playing at Boston University.
Shane LaChance, 21 years old, BU player, 25 points in 32 games with BU this season.
He's big. I know that.
6th round pick, 6'5", 218.
Yeah, big kid.
So there's your prospect piece.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that kind of deal, you're seeing a 2nd round pick, a future 4th moved. You're seeing kind of mid-tier prospects. And that's, for the main piece being Trent Frederick. Again, like I feel like Ryan Donato, the Blackhawks can't retain on him, but
right.
but he's $2 million. Like that's not a lot for an acquiring team.
Well, you even saw though, like the Devils. Didn't the Devils help in this trade? The Devils role was accommodating salary.
They retained.
Yeah, and that's a contender that's looking to buy, but it's like it's only a few $1,000,000, so it's not a big deal. So it should be easy to find that if some team has to have, Donato would have retained, you could find someone to do it, and they've got the draft capital to make that happen.
Yeah, you give them, a pick for their troubles.
Yeah.
Well, 4 years, $16 million is not $16 million AAV.
No, it's total.
$16 million
4x4
over 4 years.
4x4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Confusion there.
Let's get into the Pat Maroon stuff too. He was on the Morning Cup of Podcast with our old pal Colby Cohen
and Johnny
Lazarus on the Daily Faceoff Network, and he had some stuff to say about Seth Jones's departure.
Yeah, I'm not going to play the clip, but you can go and find it.
You tweeted it, didn't you?
I did. Yep. Yeah. It's interesting because with the report came out from Pat Boyle and Charlie Roumeliotis on the Blackhawks Breakout podcast, so it's tripling up on podcasts here. But Pat Boyle basically said that with Seth Jones's comments about basically requesting a trade out of Chicago. And then the comments after, I forget which game it was, but one of those road games where he was basically like, it's frustrating. We're the same team we were since day one.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
But that had, kind of not gone over well in the locker room. And then, so Pat Boyle had said that. And then this morning, following last night's fun win, Pat Maroon, he's had a regular spot on that show with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohen this season. He basically, came from Seth Jones' point of view and just kind of said, like, he used the terms bitter, frustrations boiling over, and how Jones probably just got sick of beating around the bush around the topic and just came out and was blunt and honest. And, far be it from me to, put down a player forever being honest, because in hockey we beg players to be honest and tell us what you're thinking, and Seth Jones goes out and does it, and because we don't like what he says, now he becomes vilified. But from Maroon's perspective, it basically was just like, hey, like, we kind of get that you are frustrated, but it'd be nice to kind of like leave that in the room, and kind of what to what Petey said is a similar tone than that Maroon had when talking about his own trade status, what happened with Seth Jones and everything. Was basically like, there's a buy-in from the group that you need to have when you're in a situation like Chicago as a veteran. You're trying to build something. You're brought there to help push the organization forward. Like, that's pretty much what he's been tasked to do. Blackhawks didn't bring in Pat Maroon to say, hey, go out there and make us a contender. It was, be a mentor, be a veteran, someone that the young guys can lean on and learn from, and be someone who can, kind of have that locker room dynamic, be like a professional locker room, teach these guys how to be pros. Like, we hear that all the time. Maroon's done that really well.
Yes,
I think he's, with that being his task being here this year, he's done it really well. And I just think that there's some guys that have bought into that, and I think it's evident, and it's not hard to understand why, but it's evident that Seth Jones that had run low. His patience for doing that had run low because his objectives are coming here were a lot different than what Pat Maroon's were, or Nick Foligno or anything like that. Like Seth Jones, when he came to Chicago, was under the pretense under Stan Bowman that we are going to build around this group that's here now. Yeah. We're going to reload, and we're going to be back in the playoffs. It's Seth Jones. It's Jake McCabe. It's Marc-Andre Fleury. We're bringing in Tyler Johnson, who just came off of winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. We still have Jonathan Toews. We have Patrick Kane. We have Kirby Dach. We have Brandon Hagel. We have Alex DeBrincat. We have Dylan Strome. We're going to be in the playoffs. And then it all went away. And so I get where that frustration comes from, Seth Jones, because it's the rug is pulled out from underneath you, 100%. And that's before your 8-year contract kicks in. So, it just comes down to a point where, those frustrations and losing was enough, and he vocalized it, and now he got the trade that he had asked for. He again vocalized how frustrating his time in Chicago was when he was asked by the Florida media before, I think it was before yesterday's game, his first with the Panthers, and I think at that point now, that's it. Like he's in Florida. He's made his, I hope, last comments about his time in Chicago, and now he can move on and be a Panther and play in the playoffs and all that stuff that he wants to do. And now for the Blackhawks, it can be all right. The return for Seth Jones was, I think, a lot better than a lot of people were expecting. The immediate return is Spencer Knight becoming a fan favorite and being your number one goaltender of the future. And this shadow of the Stan Bowman era being Seth Jones and being a lightning rod for the fan base, it's gone now. Yeah. And you can move forward with like this next wave of the organization that now will not involve Seth Jones. And for a lot of people's perspective, they thought Seth was going to hold the organization back, either financially or by blocking young guys in the defensive group. He's not here anymore. Now those two things don't exist. So I think now it's like it's been done.
Yeah, we said on last night's show, like Friday, Greg and I don't know if we're sure if you were on or not when we said it, but Friday's the last day that you get to bitch about Seth Jones. Get it out. Call him all the names you want in the chat. Tweet as much negative stuff as you want about him, but he's gone. He can't hurt you anymore. Everyone is thrilled with the return they got, so move on. It's like the old Stan Bowman jar. Stop talking about him. He's gone. There's no use in rehashing it and how mad the teammates were, how big of a cancer he was or wasn't. It's over. The Seth Jones era is over. I think everyone's pretty, including him, relieved that it's over. Because, frankly, I was tired of talking about it. I was tired of being like hey, there's a gray area here. Like, he's on a bad team. He's being asked to do a lot. I was tired of the constant discourse.
I've stopped myself on 3 different occasions on Twitter going into it with people and being like, the provider of context on different things, because you know what?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because
you never change your mind online.
If you're at this point, holding those things against Seth Jones about, when he came here, he knew what he was signing up for. It wasn't this.
It wasn't this.
But it doesn't matter anymore. All that energy, I think, has been thrown into the reverse machine, and it's come out positively. And I think all of that negativity towards Seth Jones just got flipped 180 into positivity towards Spencer Knight.
That was
awesome.
That ovation for Spencer Knight before the game, as he's announced as a starter, was all those years of Seth Jones frustration coming out of Hawks fans.
Him coming out of the locker room, and stepping on the ice. Big ovation,
right?
Like it was it was it was just the turnaround was awesome to see for him. It's great to see for this group. And I think, you guys kind of touched on it last night. Like, this is a turning the corner kind of moment. And I think it's a big opportunity for these young guys to now be like, all right, somebody from the leadership group and someone who was supposed to be here for a long time is gone. Now is the time for us to really put our stamp on things. And I think you're seeing it with, it was lively at morning skate. The post game, victory song was not a song from the 80s. Like it definitely feels like, kind of what we've been talking about is just like, let these young guys start taking over this team and change up the culture here. And I think this is a stepping stone to getting to that next level.
Well, and just to the culture point too, the juxtaposition between Seth Jones's, this isn't what I signed up for, I want to win, I want an opportunity to be competitive, all those sort of things, and Spencer Knight coming in and saying, I don't care if I'm in first place or last place, my job is to make this a winning team, and I want to bring the championship atmosphere that we had in Florida here. Mm-hmm. That the second time he spoke wearing Blackhawks garb, he was mentioning championships in Chicago. And that's where his head was from his first day on the job.
Yeah.
Incredibly impressive. And I think that Spencer Knight, if you got him over a beer or whatever, would tell you, I have been waiting for my opportunity to be a starter in this league since the day I was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to take this opportunity and run with it. And where you typically, if you're trading, Connor Verhaeghe from Florida to Chicago, he's like, come on. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
right,
I get
right.
that sucks. But for a goalie who's a backup to the starter caliber, to get that chance, I think that he's saying, all right, my chance is here.
Yeah.
I see what's coming from this. Like we said, he knows a lot of guys on the team. He knows they're good. He knows what the future of his team's going to be, and he's going to be one of the key pieces to it if he pans out the way most people in the hockey world think he's going to.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about a young guy. He's 23, so he's like on that Vlasic level where he's like young, but he's like an elder youth in this group. But think about like that guy coming in, and it's not, Connor Murphy, Nick Foligno, Craig Smith, Pat Maroon.
Yeah.
It's Frank Nazar and Bedard and Doc and Allen and Slager. It's like, oh, it's guys I know, guys that I can like immediately kind of relate with, and not to say that there's a divide between the young guys and the veterans in the locker room, but I definitely feel like if you're in that situation and you have guys that you can kind of vibe with right away, that's gonna be a big like positive than coming into a room that's filled of 30-year-olds and you're just like, oh, I don't want to step on toes, or I don't want to I don't want to be too forward being a young guy with all these veterans around. Like, these guys can kind of let the pecking order like play out themselves, but they're all kind of on that same level playing field where you're all in similar boats.
Yeah, and I think too, like, maybe now you can have some of the veterans that are still here, like Maroon and Martinez, and maybe even step into more of a role. And I'm not trying to make more of something than it is, but I don't recall Pat Maroon being in the soccer circle all the time in the pregame video. Occasionally,
I think he was.
Is he a regular?
Yeah, I mean, we only see a little bit of it.
Yeah.
We see enough to see him get
he got hit in the pills yesterday, right which is pretty funny. But I don't know. I just think you saw him kind of playing with a different level of joy too. Like I like those guys like Martinez and Maroon who have 6 Stanley Cups. They're not chasing anything. They're sort of embracing that leadership role without any sort of bitterness or hostility or frustration. Keep them around. Let them finish the year here.
And Maroon, in that same segment, basically said, like, I've had conversations with Kyle about my situation. I'm totally fine being here. And he said, he said his wife is pregnant, so it's just kind of like, he's not necessarily itching to get out of Chicago, and I think he's a guy that's comfortable being here, has kind of settled in, and I know he's on an expiring deal, but it just seems like he's one of those guys kind of like Martinez as well. They're in the same boat where it's just like, if they don't have to be traded, like if there's not a big market for them to go anywhere, or they're not going to go to like one of the premier Stanley Cup teams, maybe there's not a necessity to trade them.
No, I agree. All right, we got to wrap things up. Before we do, reminder, today is our 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, we are having our biggest sale on our Die Hard memberships ever, $34 for the annual pass. And I know you're asking, yes, that does include the free t-shirt. So basically, you're buying a t-shirt and getting a free membership for a year.
That's
at ALLCHGO.com. That's how you do it. Scan that QR code on your screen or go to https://allchgo.com/join/?coupon equals CHGO34. Got that?
That's an easy one to remember.
Just
for
use
sure.
the QR code or go to allchgo.com to sign up. We would love to have you as part of our program here.
It ends at midnight tonight.
I am going to, Thursday after practice, as I'm driving home, I'm going to do a little Discord chat as I'm driving home. So get ready for that. If you're a diehard, you'll get access to our Discord, and you'll be able to join me. So talk to me as I'm driving from Fifth Third Arena to Homewood on Thursday after Hawks practice, 24 hours before the deadline. Should be fun.
I do want to shout out.
Yes.
We had 2 people comment saying they got a
All
Die
right.
Hard membership. We got
Nice.
Nick, who got his today. He's been listening since we got our number 1 pick, Connor Bedard.
All right.
And then Brad said he got one today as
Awesome,
well. So
Brad.
thank you guys.
Welcome to
Thank
Nick
you.
and Brad, and thanks to all of our diehards who have been with us all along. We really appreciate you. Without you, we're probably not here for year 3. So help keep us going. We really appreciate it. Reminder, tomorrow's Hawks game, home game against Ottawa, 6:30 game. So be ready. Don't be surprised. Don't turn your TV on at 7:30 or get your antenna cranked up. Getting the rabbit ears out at 7:30, and it's going to be the middle of the second period. 6:30 start tomorrow, which also means an earlier postgame show, which also means I get to go to bed earlier.
Nice.
Which is amazing. So we'll talk to you then after Hawks and Ottawa right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.